PriMetrix is a platform that's been developed over the last couple of years here at Nationwide. We'll dive into it, but just to, at a high level, talk about the importance of that platform to what you're doing there at Kings and Great Buys Plus.
I believe Hickman had a sign over his door that said, unless you come with data, it's just an opinion. Sometimes opinion or gut contributes, but ultimately, I'm going to err on the side of data, and you'll navigate. You'll find a smaller chance for error when you want to use the gut because you did the heavy lift with data.
Welcome into the Independent Thinking Podcast. This is your host, Rob Stott. We love talking about data and the power of data here at Nationwide Marketing Group. And as much as we could talk about it amongst ourselves and share, stories of what we've heard about, members using data to improve business or change strategies, add something to their show floor, all of the above. I think it's more impactful to hear from members. And that's what we get to do today, talking with Mike Manthey, a guy who spent some time with the Nationwide family and was part of the the drive behind getting members engaged with our data tools. But if you look at his career history, someone that is very grounded in the retail space, and right now, serving the team at Kings and Great Buys Plus, basically leveraging data tools to help inform the decisions they make about business, and when they advance into new markets, how they go about doing so, and reviewing strategy, all of the above. I mean, Mike, if you were with us at Primetime in Las Vegas this past March, was on stage amongst a group of other members and was there talking about data and about the PriMetrix platform and how he's used it to do things that even just a decade or so ago might have been impossible without the the tools that are available to him through PriMetrix and other data sources at Nationwide Marketing Group. And a great example, one he'll dive into. I mean, think about the ways in which the Great Buys Plus name has spread and understanding new markets. I mean, Mike is in one area of the country, and if a Great Buys Plus opens up or expands into another market, he'd have to go visit that market and get familiar and do on the ground research. Whereas today, he can go into a platform like PriMetrix and use the numbers and within a couple of clicks understand everything there is to know about that area that he may have never stepped foot in to begin with. So unique to hear his perspective on it, how they're leveraging it within the business, and also, his advice too, because obviously with numbers, it's easy to get overwhelmed, but he's got some great advice on how for the uninitiated in terms of data usage, you can go about getting yourself set up and use it in impactful ways, use numbers in ways that can sort of, allow you to make incremental changes and not completely overwhelm yourself to the point where you just want to avoid data altogether. So a lot of great insights from Mike and plenty to dive into with him. So let's just go ahead and do it. This is Mike Manthey of Kings and Great Buys Plus here on the Independent Thinking Podcast. All right, we are back on the Independent Thinking Podcast, and it took you leaving Nationwide Marketing Group and going and joining King's Great Buys Plus to get on the pod. I couldn't get you while you were here. You know why? It's because you were so damn busy while you were here, Mr. Mike Manthey. I couldn't. You just didn't have the time for a podcast. I understand, but I finally got you on.
You got me on. I do remember prime time. We were walking around doing FaceTime or
Facebook Live, man. Yeah.
Remember seeing Nick Norton run the other way?
He did. He certainly did. Until that one time, we shouldn't put him on blast on the podcast, but I did catch him one time, and he won't let me live it down because it was in the middle of Palooza and he had food in his mouth.
Oh yeah. Have fun with food, right?
What better time to talk than while you're in the middle of eating? But no, I appreciate you taking the time out there. King's Great Buys Plus. You're in Evans. I know there are a lot of locations, right? You're in Evansville, is that right?
Yeah,
Indiana?
Headquartered out of Evansville.
Yep. Awesome. So, well, we'll start before we dive into. We got a lot to dive into, and I'm looking forward to doing it with you. But just how are you, and how's business today?
It's business is obviously tough, right? We all see the numbers, but I feel I've knocked all the dust off. I'm having a lot of fun. I generally don't know what day it is, right? Getting involved in working a few days too many a week. Wednesday's my reset day because we do our partner call, Great Buys Plus partner call every day. Otherwise, I'm just going to take a stab and say it ends in Y.
No, I love that. And well, it's funny for me because I mean, obviously, we got to know each other. Your time at Nationwide, and a little over 5 years. Is that right? What part of the team
Yeah,
here?
just shy of
Um,
6.
yeah, and but honestly, a blip in your career that the rest of which is dominated by time spent in retail. You talk about someone that cut your teeth in retail. That pretty well defines you for sure.
Hey, it was Nationwide might be one of the best things I did because doing what I'm doing now, I feel like it's made me better. You know, whether it was the interaction with the members, having a Rolodex, right, for when you stub your toe. But more importantly, just, you know, when I first got to Nationwide, Rob, I guess I forgot how much is on the shelf when it comes to resources, right? There's always that new shiny penny. I think PriMetrix is going to stay around for a while, but man, there's whether it's resident experts or product on the shelf for, hey, I need help here. I feel that it's really, well, Hickman said it, each day I was out of retail, I get a day dumber. And I was from a product perspective, but from a services perspective, that's I couldn't have prepped a better way to get back in the retail than with my time with Nationwide.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. And I think without getting too nationwide on us here on our own podcast, but like it speaks to the character at the company, right? Like everyone, whether it's people coming from the manufacturer side to help within the group, or obviously lots of retailers as well. It's that you are what you are at your heart, at your core, and
Mhm.
like just the care for the business is there, and that's what's cool to see. As someone at trade media, so I don't know where I sit in that sphere of things that exist in the retail world, covering the retail space, but like as an outsider, I'll call myself compared to what you guys are and were and do for the industry. Neat to see you guys work on behalf of the industry while you're part of Nationwide.
Yeah, pretty wild, huh? We just got to
Yeah.
find somebody that can listen to us in that time of need, right? But um, that was almost the best 6 years I had to get back into retail, and here I am now, ringing everybody's phone that I did for the 5, 6 years that I was there, right?
Well, now you know the opportunities that lie in front of you as a member of Nationwide. So hey, and you know who to call, who better? They
Yeah,
probably
you know, Mark
all the
Perfect lives
time.
it, right? Because I just go right
Yeah.
to the source.
That's incredible. Well, talk
Yeah.
about your role now back at Great Buys. What are you doing for the company, and talk about just sort of your day to day, and aside from bugging the people back at Nationwide to make business better.
Yeah, hey, first things first, I couldn't get anything done until everybody got to know me, right? And got to build that culture, right? Keister's smiling by me saying that, but really, getting involved personally, reviewing process, procedure. Um, you can't do process without having something to believe in, right?
Mhm.
Um, Operationally, that was a big change. You know, I've worked for some much larger companies, and here you wear all hats. You know, I had to go let the driver in to deliver his furniture, right? You do what you got to do, but I do feel it's the fabric of our community and the heartbeat that we bring to the community where we're all doing business. So while I'm working hard to do whatever I can to make Kings better, and I say Kings slash Great Buys Plus because whatever I'm doing for the Kings business is also for the Great Buys business partners. Should they have a need or help? Well, we stop, drop, and that's the awesomeness of having our group within a group. I'm the babe, right? You know, Terry's been doing this almost 50 years, but I mean, these businesses have been doing business for almost as long as I've had my feet on this ground. So it's just a phenomenal network of having a group within a group where we can just talk as one if we have a problem. There's many others that have probably done it or in a similar situation that if can improve the King's business, or the Great Buys Plus business. I mean, it just all the ships rise.
Talk about the company for let's just set the stage for those who may or may not be familiar. I know it started at the like incredibly humble, just one location, right? And there's 44 in the portfolio now, I think is the number. Just kind of paint that picture for those not familiar with Kings and Great Buys Plus.
Well, it's again, it's something Terry created many, many years ago, right? We celebrated our 41st anniversary this year in March for Kings. I don't know the exact year that Great Buys Plus was created, but it was shortly after getting this business. But you're only as good as, or you're only as big as your business. Having the opportunity to band together, much like Nationwide, right?
Yep.
Aggregate it, scale it to better your business. But I belonged to the Natum buying group for a short period in my time. And hey, while they're the whales of the independent business, I like to say that we stand on one another's shoulder to tell a bigger story. Um, it gets us a better seat at the table. We've got Nationwide that has a seat at the table, but feel we can control our business as well. And that's the awesomeness of Natum that I see the similarity in Great Buys Plus. While we all can make our decision that's best for our business, 9 times out of 10, we're walking in the same direction. So that's when it really starts getting fun. And it's just an awesome opportunity inside the independent channel of having what we have.
Oh, that's awesome. Now I know you too. In just your own career, you mentioned the time spent in retail, and then obviously while with Nationwide, you've seen a lot of different independent businesses, right? And of different shapes and sizes, and get exposed to a lot of different ways of doing business. What differentiates Kings and Great Buys Plus in your mind, and just sort of how they're going about business?
Um, I think forget about my time here, right? Because my time clock just started. But I think in everywhere I've gone, what Terry's done, it comes down to your say-do ratio, right? Um, if you have a track record of doing what you say, things are going to continue to come across very open and honest. It's call it a safe room, whether it's amongst us, the partners, or with vendors. There's no stepping on throats. It's just being transparent and honest. And hey, talking about data, right? And all the PriMetrix that I've done for other members, it's how to apply that in your business. And that sometimes is the hardest part.
For sure. And good segue too, because I know the reason I love picking your brain particularly, whether no matter where you sit and sort of where you are in your day to day is because of that role the data played while you were here at Nationwide, and seeing you use it today. We know, not too long ago, as we're sitting here a couple weeks ago, really, you were on a stage talking about data and how you leverage it, in your role now. And you have that unique perspective of seeing it from the inside as well. So for PriMetrix is a platform that's been developed over the last couple of years here at Nationwide. Um, we'll dive into it, but just to at a high level, talk about the importance of that platform to what you're doing there at Kings and Great Buys Plus.
It's really simple. Where else are we going to get the data? Right? I don't want the vendor data because they got the national data and all the benefits of what an independent retailer does, higher ASP, better mix. I don't want the vendor data. And there is no other source. AHAM is a windsock, if you will. But really what Derek Matala came and put together in a dark room is amazing. Whether it's PriMetrix market, I mean that taught a Chicago guy all about South Dakota that I would 1,000% guessed wrong when I went and worked for Carl's TV. Same thing here at Kings. I have a vendor that wants to go see a Great Buys partner and wants to understand their community. Well, I can do that. We don't have to call somebody. I can help our vendor help a Great Buys partner. Um, And our newest Great Buys partner, Stuckwish Appliance, today took over a new business. And hey, he's probably more familiar with the town than I am, but having those reports and sending them his way, it will spark a really awesome conversation for he and I. How do I assort this floor? Just because it's close to your headquarters doesn't mean it's the same. So now we get a couple different samples where we can put them together. And I guarantee he's going to find a new customer should he consider that.
It's crazy, right? I know when we've talked about it, the way we kind of boil it down is it takes the guessing out of the work, you know, buyers and merchants at retail have traditionally done, right? Is that fair
Yeah,
to
I
say?
mean, I mean, everybody, Kentucky windage, right? You had to go with your gut. Um, but I believe Hickman had a sign over his door that said, "Unless you come with data, it's just an opinion." Um, Sometimes opinion or gut contributes, but ultimately, I'm going to err on the side of data, and you'll navigate. You'll find a smaller chance for error when you want to use the gut, because you did the heavy lift with data.
Now, was when you got to Kings and Great Buy Plus, were they in on data? Like, did they
Oh yeah,
understand PriMetrix?
definitely.
Yeah.
It's something that I've ran for Terry. Prior to me getting here, we got a new partner in Jasper, Indiana. They were taking over a AVB business, and not from any of our categories as far as their businesses that they were in, but I think very quickly got their feet on the ground. And then diving into PriMetrix, market was one thing, but so was taking a look at the categories. It really helped meet the rubber hit the road for them. So it's multifaceted, and it's just, the key is, uh, don't get overwhelmed by it. It's like people look at it like a Detroit phone book. Well, they quit before they stop, or before they start. Just get into it, and you can only take it so far, and then you have to make an action. There's enough there to help validate what you're thinking, or help you identify a winning path.
I might be asking the same question twice over here with this one and what my follow up would be, but I want to your point about not getting overwhelmed or not overwhelming yourself with the data. Do you find yourself sort of like kind of you know looking at one area in particular of Primetrics, or I know you're obviously pretty familiar with the tools and everything that goes on behind them. So I have to imagine you're a little more in there and your tentacles are spread all throughout the platform. But like, do you sort
Yeah.
of resonate with one area of the data or find it more, I don't want to call it more useful, but something that, you just kind of, you know, just,
I'll look
you
at the
know,
top
yeah,
performing models, how
yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
something in that that's not in my plan to sell, right, for opportunity. But, really, where our world is living right now, haves, have nots, it's really put a lot of focus on the opening price point models. If you think of a pyramid, the tip, that's the opening price point goods.
Hmm.
It's harder to make money with the big vendors.
Right.
And then Nationwide comes together with the Element guys, and they put together a product that, hey, it works. This is not a commercial for Element, but the product stays sold. It's profitable.
Hmm.
Uh, it's a new opportunity, right? And um, it was exciting when I was working with Nationwide, but now where the world is, it's more important than ever. You have an opportunity to make a larger dollar versus the big vendors that they want you to sell the higher end brands in their line, which today's probably more value, getting your biggest bang for the buck. And the person looking to buy cafe or KitchenAid, they're probably not as strapped as those at the other end of the spectrum. So it's things like that. When the industry changes, what can I use to
Right.
make sure that we're doing the best that we can, right?
Yeah.
And for all the billions of dollars that's in PriMetrix, that's the big enough sample for me to
Right.
take And, that's the one thing I learned when I was flying around, Rob. Everybody wanted me to aggregate and do an analysis on their business based on where they do business. And I did do that when it was requested. And when you
Right.
really you put the entire network and then a particular region, there isn't much difference.
Right.
When right, but when I have some unique things to my business that somebody may not in Chicago, but 98% of the time we're selling the same stuff.
Right. Right. Just finding those little areas, where you can benefit. And kind of the follow up I was going to ask to that, and again, it may be the same way of asking the same a different way of asking the same question. Um, for a retailer new to this, that you're encouraging them to dive in and not get overwhelmed by the amount of data they see. Would you point them to a specific tool or resource within PriMetrix that would be a nice sort of way to dip the toe into what's possible?
I would say see all the above, right?
Yeah.
Jump in, get to know it all. I mean, Joliet, Illinois. I was born and raised from 73. I didn't leave until I think I went to Carlson 2013 or 2014. But in my hometown, most people didn't know my business. I had been there, for 60 years, but nobody knew what it was or what they did. And I lived there, I worked there, I was proud, but nobody knows about it until they have a need, right? Um, Same thing. You got to know the market.
Yeah.
And everybody says they know their market. Well, there's stuff to learn, as I did. I wish I had that when I was back in Chicago. Truly made me better when I was in the Dakotas, and I feel we're applying it again as to how we speak, who are we speaking to. And then when it comes to the last 3 feet on the floor, you always have to be challenging what you currently have. Um, it's it's impossible to know everything, and what a great resource to see all those participating in the aggregated data, really just to try to
Right.
either validate what I'm trying
Yeah.
or look for a pivot. It's there.
Uh, the uh the important word I'm pulling out of what you've been saying a couple times throughout is aggregating, right? And I know for a lot of retailers out there, that data, that point of sale data, and it's conversations I'm sure you had. It's not. I'm sure I know you had. Well, you were here with retailers trying to, convince them to participate in this tool, right? That data is that secret sauce. They, feel protective of it and want to not share it, but aggregate that all that data comes together. So talk about that, the comfort of, being a retailer with a lot of data, right? That you're plugging into this tool to be able to get the benefits out of.
I was in the Dakotas with Carl's TV when Nationwide asked if I would contribute to sharing point of sale. I had two questions. Why do you want it, and what are you going to do with it? And their answers made, why wouldn't I? You're trying to better each one of our business. And I think when they asked me, they never knew what PriMetrix is today. Probably wasn't on the whiteboard then to, came to life, but um, it's to better our business. Nationwide wanted to better our business by knowing what's going on today, not 2 weeks ago, but today. And right now is I won't say turbulent, but as maybe turbulent, right?
Yeah.
Um, as the times that we're in right now, you just got to see where the ball moves, and to
Right.
see the if it is true the haves and have nots, well, you got a big void in the middle, right? So, is there something that we can grab in the middle? But obviously, paying attention to where the world is now, and every day you
Right.
got to try to better your business.
The other interesting thing I'm hearing you talk about is obviously you've been with different size retailers working for. So it almost doesn't seem to matter what stop or like the size of retailer that you would have been at. You still would have loved to have this data available to you, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not something that, you know, just because you're a larger retailer, you get more benefit out of per se. This is these numbers, when you chop them up, at the end of the day, you're looking at
Yeah.
numbers that impact everyone.
Like my mom used to say, you put your pants on just like I do, right? We're putting our key in the door, we're turning on
Right.
the lights, we're greeting, we're qualifying, and we're trying to earn business.
No, that's awesome. I, the pitch. What was your close? It might be similar to what you're saying there about how when Nationwide came to you and the two questions you had, but when you were talking to members that might have been on the fence, what was the pitch that you made to them to convince them to sign up or push them over
Same,
that, get comfortable with it, even?
same thing. I talk
Yeah,
about how Nationwide asked me.
yeah,
And it's just that simple. I mean, here you guys are. How do you know which ball to swing at? Um, but it's just that easy. Why did you want it, and what are you going to do with it? What I tried to do was take it one step further, show them how they could apply it to their
right.
business, to their sales floor, to their sales staff.
What's the most impactful way you've seen it applied at Kings and Great Buys Plus?
Oh wow. Me jumping back in the retail, right? I was like, holy crap, I gotta like download all the 21 categories, just smush this in my head and let's go. But it's really just getting acclimated to not what works in Nationwide, but it helped me identify what's was really working well here at King's, right? Uh, go to the hole in the boat. You gotta clog that hole, stay afloat. Then you can go make good better. And it's impact your business by finding that opportunity that maybe you're not playing in. I used to always try to identify a price bucket or area in each category of where a member was potentially had opportunity or was not getting their fair share of business. They have to decide if that's good for their business. But hey, we all have them, even at King's.
Right,
Nobody's perfect,
right,
but keep swinging at it.
right. And I think that's, I mean, if there's a closing point, even the fact that this data exists and it's out there, and obviously you're diving into it and learning a lot from it as an individual. That's cool to hear that it was a great way to sort of get yourself onboarded to the way they were doing business.
Mhm.
It's kind of, and see what's going on in the market as well, and just use
Well,
it as a
they've been here for 40 years
right,
plus, right?
right.
Yeah, they're winning.
Yeah, they're doing something right. So
Things
to
you
be
don't change.
so that's awesome to see from the educational perspective, but also too, the decision making. The numbers are there, and you have to look at, and there's some analysis done for you where you can find those pockets and voids in the market that you might be able to fill. But at the end of the day, you still have to make that decision,
Yeah.
right? As the retailer, so it's you can never arm yourself with enough information and tools to inform those decisions, but still at the end of the day, you got to make that decision.
And it's clicks away, right? I don't
Yeah.
I don't have a printout on my nightstand, but it's crack the laptop in a couple clicks and you're there. You guys did the heavy lift.
So talk about from get back into the Wayback Machine, right? What you know pre-PriMetrix, what was that process like for you? Like, what did you do to do
Wow.
that sort of
Buyer's
research?
poker.
Yeah, right.
Just kidding, just kidding. No, but that was something cool, before data became data. When I was in
Yeah.
NATEM, we got a monthly report of what everybody did by category.
Wow.
So, that was an opportunity for me very young in my career, that I could call a Randy Johnson at Brand Smart. I could call a Marty Hartunian at ABC Warehouse. And these are guys that I'm just walking into the wall. They figured out how to either go through it or over it. And but having that look, right? And again, not the vendor's data, people like
Right.
us, independent business owners. And I don't care if it's a small company or a big company. We're doing the same things, just one's bigger or smaller than the other. We face the same challenges. We have the same problems. We're fighting the same nationals. So are we really that different?
Right.
We're not.
Yeah. When
But
you boil it
that's
down
the
to some numbers, it's
yeah,
and you plug it into, again, an aggregated bucket, and you're able to pick and choose and search for the things, for the the answers to the questions you're trying to ask. It all looks the same.
yeah, it does. And it's hey, if you try to do it all at once, you're gonna get overwhelmed. You can only retain so much. Just take little bites, just little bites.
No, that's awesome. Well, hey, we appreciate it. And if I was going to ask for that sort of takeaway message, I think that might have been it, right? Is to, you know, take sort of those baby steps in this. If it's something that you're participating in and just not sure where, the benefits lie, it's just sort of practicing, right? And getting familiar with it. Or if you're not participating with it, understanding the possibilities of what's there. And I know there's
Yeah,
plenty of opportunities, right, to get those market reports if you're not, actively participating, and just see what's possible. But then to get in there and play around, you have to spend some time with it.
you do. And I did hundreds of them, and I'm sure the team can still do it now that I'm not there. But I mean, just that high level analysis that we did, it basically told you what category was suffering, or, put another log on this fire, get over
Yeah,
there. It was just such a nice one pager to put in front of a member, really to help them see where their business is calling. And 9 times out of 10, they could figure it out from there. But having that resource to talk to somebody or to get a little deeper dive into the data, I made a lot of interactions of one member to another member, right? Get out of the way, because I was out of retail. I had to get somebody that was knowledgeable, that I was paused at the time, right? That does it every day, and magic starts to happen.
now that being back in retail, using it, have you found yourself, using this data in ways that you didn't think you would, or sort of some unintended benefits out of having access to it?
I got a lot of ideas that, it's gotta come to life yet.
Yeah,
But really, this is meat and potatoes,
right.
the nothing really changes, other than our communities. And right now it's different. So,
Yeah,
um, I think with the breadth of data that's offered to us, should that rainy day come, probably going to find another way to use it. From assorting a new store, there, or doing your current floor. Um, it's all there. I think it's an endless list of opportunities that it can help us as retailers and nationwide.
yeah. For sure. And we barely even touched that part of it. And it's because hey, we don't want to, because the focus is on the retailers. But plenty. You mentioned seats at the table. Having this, opens the doors, I know, for Nationwide in more ways than one, to be able to have those conversations and go back to those manufacturers, right? And talk to them, and we could have a whole nother episode on that. And maybe,
Well, while you guys live in the today like we do,
yeah,
Nationwide all lives in tomorrow as well, right? You guys are a couple steps ahead for when we get there and all the awesome things that you guys bring to us. But same time, all the merchants need to know what's going on today, because it ain't over.
for sure. No, it never is. Oh, that's awesome, Mr. Manthey. This was a lot of fun, as I anticipated. So, no, I sad we didn't get to do it while you were here. I know we did. I think I snagged you on a Facebook Live. Now that you
Yeah,
mentioned that,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
we did do it during the show, but now it's official. You could say you've been on the Independent Thinking podcast. So I appreciate you taking the time, and look forward to seeing you again in
Well,
Vegas. You gonna be
I,
there?
I got a
Coming
face
back?
only a mother can love. I thank you for having me, and yeah, I'll be back in Vegas.
Awesome. Well, we will see you there, and look forward to it. And again, just appreciate your time.
Appreciate you too. Thanks, Rob.
Awesome. And thanks again to Mike. Like I said, a guy that is wise beyond his years of experience in the retail industry. And we were lucky enough to have him as part of the team here at Nationwide for just a blip of his career. And I learned a lot from him then. And it's awesome to still be able to tap into his knowledge and expertise and learn from him today. So appreciate him taking the time and diving into it with us. And as always, appreciate you listening to the Independent Thinking Podcast. And we'll catch you next time.